Hey guys, today we're going to do some foam rolling. I'm using a softish foam roller. I also have a hard one here. My personal preference is in between, but I have it loaned out at the moment. So I'm going to use both of these today. You use what you have. If you don't have a long one, you'll be okay for the most part. We may do a little bit long ways, but not a ton. A short one would be totally fine. If yours is bumpy, also totally fine. If it feels good, do it. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. And as always with foam rolling, go slow. The slower the better. You want time for your body to melt around the curve of the roll so that you don't fight against it. Don't need that. So we're going to start off pretty easy things you know, and then I might give you some tips and tricks that are new to you. So listen up. We're going to do spine, hips, a little bit of shoulders, and maybe a little bit of like lower legs as well. So we'll see how far we get today. Start with the roll on your back. Let's just do a basic massage of your back. As you're doing this, hug yourself with your arms so that your shoulder blades are really wide and you can access all the muscles between your shoulder blades. As you're rolling, you can go as high as you want. I would avoid putting a lot of pressure on your neck in this position. So just to the top of the shoulders here, it will be the top end. And then down until you get towards your lower back, but probably not all the way to your lower back. And just keep going at a slow pace. Imagine you're trying to like roll out dough. You need to kind of like zhuzh it along. We're not pounding meat here. We're zhuzhing dough. Roll out your cookie dough on your back. If you feel some pops, that would be great. And then take a slight rotation of your body so that you're slightly more on the ribs and less on the middle of your back. And you can still keep, especially the bottom arm, pulled across your body as you roll so that your shoulder blade is pulled away from your spine. All right, let's head over to side two. Roll to the other ribs. Pull your shoulder blade out of the way and roll up and down as high as is comfortable and as low as is comfortable. No farther. Oh, all right. Next, let's relax your neck. So put the neck on top of the roll and pull the roll as far down to the base of your neck as possible and take a little nap. Quick relax. As you're relaxing, allow your head to sink against the roll, as in allow the roll to hold your head and neck. And slowly turn your head to one side and then the other. When you're trying to relax, it's best to take some slow, deep breaths, calm down your nervous system, get oxygen flowing through your entire body. Be crunchy granola. Get that yoga mindset going. Foam rolling is not competitive. All right, roll over to the side. Now, like a pillow, you would have the roll under your head. Keep it close to your shoulder, as close to your shoulder as possible, such that your head can lengthen over top of the roll and then drop down. So hopefully the muscles along the side of your neck are now in contact. You can slowly just rock your body forward and back to give your neck a little bit of gentle massage. If you find a good spot, my good spot is a little bit forward. I'm going to stop there. And then whether you're forward or maybe a little bit back, try doing a little bit of nodding motion with your head. Maybe even a no type rotational movement of your head. See how that feels. So my neck is staying still in contact on the roll, and then my head is moving on top of it. So it's just getting that little bit of muscles that where my head meets my neck. Getting like a little gentle stretch there. All right, let's roll to the other side. Make sure the roll is as close to your shoulder as possible. Your neck is long, and the head's dropping over the top of the roll. And then start by relaxing your neck against the roll, and then roll forward and back. Easy massage. Notice where you feel the most tension. Is it directly side? Maybe when you roll back a bit, or perhaps when you roll forward. Pick one of those spots to now stay and hold that pressure. Add a little bit of nodding motion up and down, like yes motion with your head. Try also a no rotational movement with your head. See if that gives you a little stretch in those base of your head muscles. And then come on back. Whew. Okay, so we've had the roll under your neck. Roll it to the very top of your neck, underneath the base of your skull. Imagine you could push the base of your skull away from your neck, like someone's grabbing your head and pulling to stretch the back of your neck. If you kind of like allow your chest to sink and maybe your chin to nod in, that you might hopefully find that sense of traction at the base of your head. Let your body be heavy, and then just slowly rotate your head side to side. As we're doing this rotation, I'm hoping that you're getting a bit of a massage on these suboccipital muscles, which is those muscles at the base of your head that get stiff if you've been at a computer and kind of slouched for a while, or just stiff and stressed out in general. And then roll about, let's say 30 degrees off to one side. And then you should now have most of the pressure on one side of those suboccipital muscles. And let's try that nodding motion again. Just up and down, a slight small nod. And as you're nodding, and have the sense that the foam roll is just sinking deeper and deeper and deeper, like someone's thumb is in there, just kind of gently getting deeper into those muscles. And then try a slight rotation, just maybe 5 degrees back and forth at most. And lastly, try a circle. Imagine there's a pencil on your nose. Make a teeny circle. Like someone's thumb is back there just making a little circular massage movement, but the roll is doing it for you. Reverse the direction. And then come to a stop and just relax. Okay, other side. Roll along the base of your skull to side two. So your head's about 30 degrees or so until you feel like you're on that muscle meat at the suboccipitals. Take a breath, relax your chest. And I'm letting my skull rest on the top of the roll, but my neck feels tractioned down by gravity. And then once you find that sensation, add the nodding up and down. So in each body part, we're spending at least 30 seconds, if not more like 60 to 90. But in general, I try to do different types of movements within one area of the body so that you get pulls on the muscles and connective tissue in different ways. And then you may not find all of them helpful, but find the ones that do seem helpful for your body, and you can certainly spend more time doing that one particular movement. All right, next let's go side to side, a little bit of rotation. This is a very small movement, so the pressure stays on the muscles at the base of your neck on that one side, but your head is moving relative to the muscle. So you're getting a gentle stretch, pull sensation. Then lastly, put the pencil on your nose, a little circle. Reverse the direction. And then come back to the center. Okay, the next one is going to be more for the upper traps. We're going to try to pull the shoulders away from your head. And it takes a little more contortion skills. So listen up for this one. And if you have like any severe neck shoulder injuries, watch and then decide if this is a good idea for you. Okay, so I'm going to bridge my hips up, roll the roll to the very upper back, the base of the neck, and then the feet stay planted as my ribs rotate to the side, and the contact point with the roll is now on the, I'm gonna call it the corner, the bottom of my neck, where it meets the shoulder, but it's not on the side, it's not on the back, it's between the side and the back, right where that upper trap knot usually is. So once you're here, you can lift your ribs and try to be a little bit more vertical through your body to put more weight on that point of your shoulder that has that knot in it. Relax your head and then send some breath into that spot. Because of all the pressure, you're not really going to feel breath there, but just have a sense that you're sending some air into that shoulder. And as you exhale, try to sink your head over the roll. Your shoulder sinks on the other side of the roll so that the foam roll can sink deeper into that upper trap muscle. If it feels good, definitely roll along the roll, so like forward and backwards motion. Come on down, let's try side two. So coming back to the center, bridge the hips up, roll, rotate through the rib cage so that you're on the other corner. Lift the ribs as much as is comfortable and let your head drop and the shoulder drop on the opposite sides of the foam roll. Step number one, just breathe. Allow your body to sink in. If you're feeling good, try a gentle rocking forward and back. Just breathing does a whole lot of good, so feel free to always just stop and relax and breathe. And then come on back to the center. Ooh. Come on up. Let's get to the hips a bit, shall we? So I want to sit on the foam roll like I'm at a campfire, and then come back to like a crab. Same arm as leg, cross the ankle over the knee. Roll towards that top knee to get all of the weight onto the glutes of the bent knee side. And then just go to town, give it a little massage. Now we started setting up pretty square or perpendicular to the foam roll. If you turn a little bit on the diagonal, you might feel like you can get in there a little bit deeper. So I'm turning towards you maybe 20, 30 degrees. So we get the piriformis, some glutes in there, all good stuff. This is the one that you probably are definitely familiar with. So if you prefer to use a softball or something else for these muscles, totally fine. All right, side two. Crab, cross the knee, roll to your hip, and maybe pivot a little bit off of the perpendicular. See if that helps you sink into those muscles a bit more. At any point you want to spend more time someplace, just pause the video and then join back in when you're ready to move along. I would say anything more than 2 minutes is probably not the best bang for your buck, but if it makes you happy, there's nothing wrong with hanging out somewhere for quite some time. Okay, so we want to be mindful of our back for the next one. So I'm gonna start on my hips, just do a little rock. If your foam roll is really hard and your back is a little bit angry, you might not like this. So just watch and then make a choice as if you want to do this or not. If it hurts, just back off and skip the area of your back that does hurt. So I'm just going to, in my crab position, roll up and down through my pelvis, and then try to transition to the junction of my pelvis and lower back and see how that feels. You can adjust your arms however you need. I'm using my arms for support and to help me roll a bit, but my feet are really doing most of the pushing and pulling work. And keep on going, maybe towards your lower back. So you may have heard like don't foam roll your lower back. Well, especially if you have a softer roller like this one is, totally no big deal. But really, it's use common sense, and if it hurts, don't do it. We do have some floating ribs down low here at your waist. You want to be mindful that you don't bang into those floating ribs with a lot of aggressiveness. Whew. But when you're just straight flat, that's pretty hard to do. So you'll be just fine. And keep going until you get to the base of the rib cage. Just give that a little massage. All right, so if you're at the base of your ribs cage with me, then you're doing great. If you skip this part, then you can join in by coming down to your elbow and rolling halfway between back and side. I'm gonna stop about 45 degrees in the center. So if we're at the junction of the base of your rib cage and your lower back and twisted about halfway, you're going to hopefully start to sink into some of those QL muscles, the quadratus lumborum. That's actually a really deep muscle, not literally going to touch it, but the pressure of everything combined is going to push into that meaty area of your lower back and hopefully get that whole side loosened up. So sink into that. And this is where, if you have a hard roll, be really mindful that you're not jamming into those floating ribs in your lower back where it meets the rib cage. Be nice to yourself. If something feels uh, sharp, pointy, pokey, maybe rock back a little bit farther to avoid that, or just go a little higher or lower so you're not getting into that area that's going to be irritating for your body. This is an area of your body that gets really stiff if you've been like sitting with upright posture too much, or doing a lot of the overhead lifts that you allow your lower back to arch versus keeping the core neutral. If you have stiff ankles and you squat and so your pelvis tips forward quite a bit, this area might be tight. Or if you just don't have good breathing patterns, this area can even get tight just with, stressed out breathing. 2020 stress. Oh, craziness. But anyway, hopefully this feels nice. If you're really feeling it, you might want to follow it up with a nice side bendy stretch. All right, let's try the other side. So roll. So we're not back, we're not fully side, we're somewhere in the middle. And start slow again, just explore that area. Going between my pelvis and my bottom few ribs, along that big meaty lower back section. Your lats are gonna be coming across here. You got your obliques is the more superficial layer. Lots of muscle fibers that move in different directions here. And as always, you can always just stop and on a trigger point and breathe if that feels good. If your ribs are getting in the way, just go a little bit higher or a little bit lower to avoid the crunchy rib. All right, you can stay on the same side or go back to the first side. Now we're going to continue into more of the ribs. Roll all the way to your side. I want to move my roll up under more mid rib cage and use that as a starting point to then roll up and down from the armpit and stopping just above where we were working. So I don't want to get too much into my waist because that's definitely where those floating ribs that are kind of lower, maybe belly button level, might get too squished. So how does it feel on your ribs? Are there some ribs that are really rigid and you feel like you're rolling over concrete? Ooh. If you find a good spot that feels nicely tender, pause there, or maybe just stiff, pause there and roll forward and back. Think of like more moving along the curve of your rib cage. And then find a spot that feels It hurts so good feeling. I got one right here. With your arm that's on the floor, reach it out long and relax. You can just reach and breathe. You can just breathe and do nothing. Or reach and try maybe rotating that arm back and forth. Especially if I roll palm up, thumb back, get a nice gentle stretch to that area. And then I can come back to it, see if we got any deeper into the massage or a little bit more relaxed. You can go up and down again, forward and back, find a new spot, find a new rib to roll against. And as you're working through this area, end up by your armpit. You can't go, almost can't go any higher or you'll be on your arm. And roll towards the back of your armpit. Explore that back armpit area. And that's going to be a lot of lats, might be getting a bit into your rotator cuff. You can do that same thing again. If you find a good spot, you could hang out and just breathe. You could reach that arm to get a bit of a stretch. You can try some rotation, maybe even higher. Try it out, see what feels good to you. Do one or all. I tend to just play around with all three and explore, see how it feels. Woo. All right, let's head over to side two. I'm gonna switch my whole self around. So how does that arm feel compared to how it felt before, or compared to the other side? And let's get on to side two. So we're gonna be through the side of your ribs first. And I'm using my feet quite a bit to help push and pull my body so that my upper body can be a bit more relaxed. Once you've gone up and down through your ribs, see if there's a spot that feels like you want to hone in on. You might do that by coming forward a bit with your chest, maybe a little bit back even. But usually there's going to be one rib in there that you might just decide is the stickiest and roll forward and back along that rib. Keep on breathing. Allow your neck to be as relaxed as possible. You still have to hold it up, of course, but try not to hold it up with too much tension. Let it be long and easy. Once you find a good spot, you could hold and breathe. You could reach your arm. This one feels great for me on this side. Woo. And then try possibly even rotating. On the other side, I felt much more stretch when I rotated. This side, I felt mostly just when I reach. So we're not symmetrical. We're all different as well. All right, continue exploring if you'd like. You can find another rib to roll it along. You can keep working up towards your armpit. You could just go back to exploring the whole area if you'd like. There's really no wrong or right way. Let's start to end up in the armpit area. Ooh, man, this side. Okay, so as you're rolling into your armpit, do rock back. I'm going to say 99% of the time, this is where you're going to find the most fun stuff back here. Again, it's your lats, your rotator cuff. You can always just do a gentle rock. You can stop and breathe and just try to be heavy and relax. I always like the reach. I get a nice pin and stretch. I'm pinning the muscle that's a little bit sore and spasmed and got the knot in it. And I can reach to get a little stretch away from that knot. So for me, this is getting a nice rotator cuff stretch for the back of my shoulder. Ooh. How that rotation, see how that feels? All righty. Okay. Now, get more even. Okay. Let's try out these hips. Okay, so there's a ton of ways to do hips. Let's start just on the quads, a little more generic. So put the roll right under your hip crease. So I'm on my thighs, at the top of my thighs. I want to army crawl forward till I'm just above my kneecaps. and then an army crawl back to just below the hip crease. So let's start with just that simple sort of a forearm glidey rock back and forth. Then you have 4 quad muscles, and they attach to various parts of your pelvis, various parts of your thigh, of your femur, and they go across your kneecap to your shin. So if you want to get multiple parts of that, we can twist the legs out or in. So just find a spot that feels a little stiff. Mine is usually like maybe a couple inches above the knees. And just roll your legs in and out and just feel what that does. Your muscles are pinned on the foam roll and your bones are now rotating in and out. So hopefully you're feeling a bit of kind of spiraling of your muscles around the bones. Feels a little weird, probably. Whew, it might feel pretty intense. All right, so we're going to use this motion in a sequence to get all sorts of different movements. So come on back to the hip crease. Let's roll your feet outward so your toes are away from each other. Keeping your toes outward so you're externally rotated in the hips. Roll yourself forward till you get just above the knees. Pause there and then rotate your hips inward so your toes are now pigeon-toed, pointing together. And then roll yourself back. Good. Once you get to your hips, pause, come back to neutral, toes to the floor, and roll yourself forward. All right, going to continue that sequence. Rotate your feet out and roll back. Rotate your feet in, roll forward. Neutral, roll again. And that's the whole sequence. So we're going to continue. Rotate your hips out, roll along the roll, rotate the hips in, push through again, neutral, roll, rotate out, roll, rotate in, roll, neutral. All right, let's go back to that spot that felt the stiffest. Again, mine is just above the knees, a couple inches, and you can do a little oscillating there. You could keep rolling in and out if that felt productive and hurt so good, but helpful kind of way. And after just doing that little bit of rolling, it just definitely feels maybe 50% less terrible. Now with the thighs, if you want to add more pressure, just roll and put more weight on one thigh, and you can do a lot of the same movements. If you want a really hard roll, this may be a little much, so err on the side of caution. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. So if I roll a little bit in front of my IT band, this is when I feel a nice, good massage of my thigh. Okay, let's get into the hips. So I'm gonna put the hip on the hip crease on the roll. I'm gonna come to the side of the roll a bit. So I'm gonna do my left hip, which is the hip that's more on the roll. And then I can let my other knee sort of relax down. Both knees are relaxed and my back knee is bent. Let me actually, how should I do this? Maybe go this way, do the other side first. You can see more. Okay, so my back leg is mostly off the roll. This leg is on the roll and both knees are relaxed on the floor. This may not be too intense yet, but do take a pause and breathe. And then let's start by just bending that knee. As you're bending, hopefully you feel a really gentle stretch across the hip. And then keep it bent and rotate your leg outwards, meaning towards the length of the roll, away from your body. Now you may find more if you rotate in, so test that out, but I think the majority of us, we're gonna find a little bit more outwards because it's gonna roll into the muscles on the outside of your hip. All right, let's go back to the beginning where we just bend and straightened. See if that feels any different. So now I feel a little less intensity, but I can also feel that my body is sinking into the roll a bit more. Time and gravity and breath are going to get you there. All right, bend your knee and just rotate out again. The foot's going away from your body, hip internal rotation. And as I internally rotate, I'm going to roll into the muscles on the sort of that front pocket, that little tiny pocket of your jeans, right into that spot. All right, I'm going to stay on this hip. If you need to get more on the roll, feel free. But from here, if you just roll towards the side of your hip, you'll be right above the hip bone, the greater trochanter, where it's on the side of your hip. Got a ton of muscles that attach there. And they often get crampy, like if you feel that pinchiness at the bottom of your squat, it might be some of these muscles that are trying to help you out too much. So roll along there and see how that feels. If you find a good spot, stop there. You can stop and just let gravity sink you into it. You could do a little oscillation up and down or a little roll forward and back. See what feels best to you. I like to roll up and down personally. And then your knee, you can put your knee back on the floor and then pivot your foot in and out again. This is a more full range hip internal external rotation. See if that helps massage out those knots. All right, come on up to kneeling. Push your hips forward. Does that feel any better on that side? Certainly does for me. Hopefully you're enjoying the experience. If you have any questions at any point, just send me a message. Problem solve it for you. Okay, side two. So I'm towards the end of my roll. Put my hip crease on the roll and then relax both knees. Step one, just be patient. Whew, things don't relax at the pace that you might want. You have to give it a little time. Give it a sense of relaxation and ease and time. Okay, so once you feel like your pelvis is just heavily weighted, you're not holding it up, you let your muscles go, bend and straighten your knee. And then keep it bent and rotate it in and out. See how it feels. For the most part, I think you're going to find the most benefit from rotating into hip internal rotation, which means the foot rotates away from you. So you're going to roll into the muscles of that front pocket area. So as we're getting into those muscles, you might be getting into the TFL, which is sort of the top of your IT band. That's a bit of a simplification, but if you think you have tight IT bands, it's probably the muscles more in the hip that need strengthening, mobility, maybe some self-care. All right, go back to the straighten and bending. Does it feel any different now after all that rotation? Whew, I definitely feel like I can sink deeper into my hip crease now with the foam roll, and I feel less stretch in the front of my hip. More of just the pressure massage. All right, and then one more time, rotation. Rotate that leg away from you. Ooh. If you have a lot of hip tightness and pinching, it might be something in your ankles or even your lower back that's problematic. Sometimes the problem isn't where the pain is, right? All right, let's continue by rolling onto the side of your hip. Then just roll forward and back. So we're kind of like level with the hip crease here. I'm getting into the glute med, glute min, TFL when you come forward, glute med when you're side, and glute min, they all overlap, but we'll say that one more when you come backwards. Again, all the different hip muscles. All right. Let's see how that feels. Come onto your knees. Push your hips forward. A little pelvic thrust. Ah, much better. Inner thighs. Everyone's favorite. You're going to love it. I promise. Okay. So we're going to lie on your side. Bring your knee up pretty high, hip height or so, and then roll like up to like a plank so that you can now have your torso facing the ground. You now will hopefully have some pressure into your inner thigh. And step one, just roll from your knee to your groin. So you might need to kind of move your whole body to allow this to happen. So step one is just explore the whole length of your inner thigh. Where do you feel the most tension? And start to hone in on that area. Some folks feel it more by the groin, some in the middle. Mine is always closer to the knee. So I'm going to hang out there and just massage in my stickiest sections. Whew. Now, as you do this, let your leg be fairly heavy so that your muscles are conforming around the curve of the foam roll. It's going to be important for the next step, which is going to be even more fun. Okay, so come to a stop. Keep that pressure. If you have trouble relaxing, you can even in this position, like put a little extra pressure with your hand. And then lift your foot up while maintaining that downward heaviness of your thigh. So what's happening is as your foot goes up, your quads are being stabilized by the roll, and your femur, your thigh bone, is rolling relative to the muscle. So you might feel like you're trying to pull the muscle off the bone. So if you eat chicken, it's kind of like how you might think of like rolling the chicken off the bone, or maybe like how you might pull an orange off of the orange peel if you don't eat chicken. Ooh. All right, come to a stop. Maybe go back to rolling. If you felt like most of your tension was in one area, stay there. If you want to try a different spot of your thigh, if it was more universal, go ahead and move to a different region. Ooh, a new good spot. All right, find your next best spot. Tell your thigh to relax and be heavy. And then lift your foot up and down. Ah, hurts so good. Okay, let's head over to side two. If this is feeling really good for you, just feel free to pause and get another 1 or 2 spots in. All right. So you're gonna cuddle with your roll, rotate so that your torso is face down, your pelvis is face down. And step one, explore the whole area from your knee to your groin. Find the area that feels best for you and give it a bit of a massage. Allow your thigh to be super heavy. Push down if you need to, or let gravity do its work. And then lift your foot up and down. Ooh, my inner thighs are tight today. So tight inner thighs can make your knees feel crunchy and like they're not moving well. It can make your hips feel crunchy and tight. It can even bug your lower back. All right, let's try another spot. It might be the same small area, or you might find a whole new section of your inner thigh to work on. I'm going to get a little closer to my knee even. All right, massage. Let your leg be heavy, heavy, heavy. Let gravity help you out. And then lift your foot up and down. All right, we're going to finish up with a little calf today. There's way more that we could do, but I think we've this point hit your entire spine, hips, inner thighs, and I think we'll finish up with some calves. So if there's any of your nemesis spots that I missed today, let me know and we'll get them another day. All right, so I'm gonna use my harder roll for this, but any roll will do. So first of all, just put a little weight through your calf. Hopefully you can see my black foam roll on my black floor. And I'm in a bit of a crab position now so that I can put some weight through my leg and try rolling on different parts of your calf. So the inside, the center, and the outside. You might find some good spots, especially if you get more to the upper meat, closer to your knee, where the muscle is the biggest. If you find a good spot, you could try just to sink some weight into it, either in this position, put your butt down, maybe use the other leg, rest, and then move your foot around. So now my gravity, my weight of my leg, and my other leg are pinning the tissue of my calf against the roll. And then as I move my foot, I'm getting a relative stretch between that spot and my ankle. Oh, feels amazing. All right, let's give it a massage again. You can certainly spend time finding all sorts of things in your calf, most likely. But now let's all roll your leg outwards. So I'm going to put the outer leg on the roll and try to put the roll, we'll say like mid shin to start with. And then with your heel, I'm going to lean back to help me out, dig your heel right into the meat that's behind your shin bone. And I hopefully am making a sandwich with my heel, my calf on top of the roll. So you don't want it like way off center, you want it right on top of the roll. Whew. So now I have pressure on the same or opposite spots from below and above. And then you can move your foot around and see if that feels like you're getting some good stuff. By compressing the top and the bottom, you're hopefully going to put some pressure on the deep muscles that are way inside of there. You have tons of little muscles that travel between your two shin bones and go into your arches and help stabilize your foot. You're going to need those for running, balancing, jumping, all the things. So then explore by maybe coming up or down an inch. Maybe if you go towards your ankle an inch, push in, you can feel some different sensations. There's not quite as much calf meat, but you're definitely still going to get those smaller muscles. So if you have stiff ankles, this one might be a good one to really spend some time exploring and see if it helps you. If you have amazing ankles, then you might not be feeling too much. Ooh. All right, let's try side two. So step one, just come up into your crab and give a little massage. Putting weight through your leg as best you can. Try the outside of your leg, the center, and the inside. Depending on your alignment and how you tend to function, you might find that you have more tension on the inside or the outside. Something to be aware of and to potentially work on to make it less stiff. If you'd like, you can put weight with your other leg even. Ooh, that's pretty intense. And just massage, hold it, or add the movement of your bottom foot. So now we have that pin and stretch, pinning the muscle against the roll, and my foot is then stretching the calf between the spot that you're holding in my ankle. So much fun. Ooh. All right, let's go to the outside of your leg again. Find a spot to put pressure against the roll, then use your heel to mash down right on top of the roll. Take a moment to really get that heel in there and move your foot around. Ooh. There's a ton of ways to get into these muscles, but none of them are particularly easy. So hopefully you like this one. All right, guys, that is my foam rolling sequence for today. Please let me know if you watched it and let me know how it went. If you'd like me to work on other areas next time, I'm happy to do so. Enjoy your day. If you need some physical therapy, you know where to find me. Bye.